Hey everybody, welcome to All Things Nate. Today's topic is inspired by Art Kilmer. Kind of. Sort of. So Art gave a topic suggestion on my Facebook page, and I believe it was how the MCU is the best story franchise ever. That was a lot of words, and my ADHD brain got distracted at MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then I just literally rabbit trailed to movies holistically, so that's what we get today. So movies. I love watching movies. I wouldn't call myself like a movie buff per se, but I do really enjoy watching movies. I am a theater snob. If I go to a theater and I don't enjoy the experience, I'm done. I will turn my nose up and I will never go back. I'm that bad. But when it comes to movies, what am I after? I am a sucker for story. I'm a sucker for world building. I'm a sucker for character development. And frankly, when I say story, that's actually kind of third. World building and character development, because I want a good story, but I don't mind if there's missing pieces or things not explained. And I think it's because in life, we don't get answers to everything. So I don't expect that when I'm watching the development of someone else's life, which is really what those story-driven movies are all about, right? So I want a good world. I want something that doesn't contradict itself. I want characters that don't contradict themselves. So I don't want to have one movie with a character and then the next movie they do something that they would never do, because that just breaks the illusion of what you're seeing. I loved, an example, I loved the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga because, and so that would be Iron Man from 2008, all the way through the Avengers Endgame in 2019. Now the reason I loved it is because you had these actors and actresses that signed really long contracts, and you would have origin movies like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, plethora. And then you'd have the big movies where all the people would come together. And what I loved was the actors and actresses didn't change, so that illusion's not broken in general, right? And you had character progression that wasn't broken because they were doing them regularly enough that Marvel Studios would look at everything and make sure that the characters didn't contradict what we knew about the characters. So Iron Man is Iron Man throughout. Now his character evolves and changes and makes different decisions later, but that's natural. That's how we all work as humans, right? So loved it. I loved those 11 years of movies from Marvel. I'm struggling more now because they're doing this whole infinite universes, and they're now going to start changing actors and actresses and giving them the same superhero title and role, and that's not going to work for me because I want that continuity for that believability, not a hodgepodge of things being thrown together. I loved the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I loved the extended edition because each extended edition added more plot and story and gave depth to it. I will officially apologize to Doug because my brother-in-law, we forced him through under 2 days watching all 3 extended edition, and he'd never seen any of them, and I'm sorry because that was horrible and we should do better than that. But love Lord of the Rings. Again, character progression, it's world building, it's that fantasy world, but it's believable because all the pieces are there. Tolkien was a phenomenal writer, and the movies did really good justice to that trilogy specifically. I grew up loving Star Wars. Now, Star Wars is harder because there are a lot of plot holes and there are a lot of, frankly, inconsistencies in the characters. So I think there's a part of me that loves Star Wars because of the nostalgia that's what I grew up with. That was my sci-fi go-to as a family with my brother. We would watch Star Wars. So I still love Star Wars. I've loved some of the shows. I really liked the Obi-Wan show, but I love the Mandalorian show. So there's new stuff coming out that I'm really enjoying. That's giving me that itch for Star Wars. And maybe somebody someday will put some genuine consistency into their movies, because I would love that a lot. It would be glorious. Moving along. I love the Harry Potter movies and books. Not together, not at the same time, not within a month of each other, because there's enough differences. But I love the Harry Potter movies. Again, you've got this world, you've got the magic, and you've got this development of these kids. Admittedly, I'm old enough that the first few books and movies are a little odd because they're so young, but then they get into those teen years and it's easier to relate to with my adolescent brain. And so I enjoy the Harry Potter movies a lot. Hunger Games was another one that I really liked the character development. Now, the Hunger Games I also loved because it was clear to me in going through the books the first time that the author had a very in-depth understanding of trauma and was able to put that on the pages really, really well. Now that means if your trauma is raw and easily triggered, they may not be a good series for you. But I really loved The Hunger Games. And actually, it's one of the only movie series that I recommend read the books, then watch the movies, but do them together, because they actually complement each other really, really well, because the author was involved in the making of the movies, or the producing of the movies, excuse me. Now, the other series I want to mention real quick, that's how I broke my own rules, is the Bourne movies. Now, I happen to like Jeremy Renner, but I still don't count the unnamed Bourne movie that we won't talk about. Sorry. I like it on its own, but I don't talk about it when I'm talking about the Bourne movies. So the Bourne movies is the 4 Jason Bourne movies with Matt Damon. This is not about a story. It's frankly not about character development, really, because it's really just when I want an action fix and I just want to watch action that I think is really cool and the story can kind of repeat itself 3 or 4 times over and over again, and I'll still enjoy it. That's where I turn to as I rewatch the Bourne movies. But I love them. So that's how I break my own rule, because that's not so much about the world building. It's not about the character development per se. It's just the action and enjoying the sequence of events going through that. So that's my short quick on movies. I would love to hear from you guys. What are some series you love? What do you look for when you watch movies? What drives you crazy about movies? What drives you crazy about some of the series that I talked about? Are there any others you'd like me to talk about, or any of these you'd like me to talk about more? Do you have any other topic suggestions? I would love those too. So, if you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to subscribe. If you do, please click the bell for notifications, and I will see you guys next time on All Things Nate.